Hey everyone, welcome to Behind the Scenes. I'm Angela Wolf, and if you've never been here before, say hi, say where you're from. And today, I'm working on the Rachel twin set part 4. I think 4 or 5. I don't even know what part we're on. I'm going to work on the tank top today. So how do you think the jacket's looking? Pretty good, right? So if you've never been here before, say hi, say where you're from. Let's see, since I saw you last, I finished most of this top. Not all of it. I had another idea for the collar that I was going to run by you. I think you're going to love it. And I have a few ideas for the tank. So I washed up my yellow fabric. I washed up a little more of that fabric. And I'm ready to go. Hey, Arnell, great to see all of you. So today, thankfully, our internet hopefully is working better than it was yesterday. Yesterday was a little spotty. I think everybody and their brother was on a Zoom meeting, right? So great to see you all. So I am live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So whichever one you are on today, I'll be able to see all of your comments, and I look forward to seeing you. So for the tank top, hey Elizabeth. So for the tank top, a couple of changes I'm going to make there, and I want to show you how to fit the tank top because maybe, we kind of covered that in lesson 1, but we didn't go into details. And I'm going to show you an easy way to cut out your tank top, sew it together, check the fit, and you just do it by basting. Baste all the seams together first, check the fit, and then we'll go and add a cool collar. Oh, hey, Susan. Yeah, I've been on there for a while, and I forgot that I could go live on there too. So since a lot of people have been transitioning from Facebook to other platforms, I thought I might as well go ahead and utilize it, right? Definitely. All right, I see you all. You can all hear me. Hey, Joanna. Perfect. Okay, I know I had a cute story for you today, but I just cannot think of it right now. I had it in my head earlier because it was one of those things that, oh my gosh, I have to share with you. I'm sure it's something to do with the squirrels, but I'll think of it after we go to the tank. So let's go. Oh, what am I wearing? This is from this season of It's So Easy. This was a pattern hack of my ruche tee. And it actually has cool thumb holes in it and everything. I actually think I'll probably come out with this full pattern because there was a lot of hacks going on it. And today was one of those cooler, kind of sunny but cooler days in Southwest Michigan. So I grabbed this one out of the closet and thought, this is super cute. And it's really comfy. So hey, Trisha, it is on Facebook, but I think it's delayed. So wherever you're watching it from, great to see you all. Yes. Oh, wonderful, Jan, and great to see you. Okay, so let's go over here, and I want to show you, let's see, is it this one? It's this one. I have it nice and bright for you. Okay, let me show you a couple things on this. So here's the ruche tee, the Rachel tank, I'm sorry. Here's the back piece, and then here is the front piece. I also have the collar here because I have an idea for the collar. So before I get into that, why don't I show you my idea for the collar? I think it would be pretty cool. So let me see if I have enough fabric. I cut 2 pieces here. I might not be quite enough. Oh gosh, it's so close. You know what? It's so close. I'm going to make it work. Actually, no. We'll go ahead and cut it the right way. All right, get this fabric out of the way. Here's the yellow, and I've already washed it. This has been sitting in the back of my car for, I don't know, since last week when I saw you on this project. And I got to find the salvage. So remember, on this collar, it's too long because we made this longer. It's too long to cut from selvage to selvage. So I have to start at one end and just cut along the selvage is what I ended up doing. And in case you missed the pattern alterations in the last two, I needed to cut a little bit longer on here. It actually was only 2 inches longer, but I cut it even further, which I ended up cutting off. So why don't we just mark this? There we go. There's our 2 inches right here. I'll just fold it under for now. In case I make this longer, I don't have to cut a whole new piece, right? There we go. And then I know it's straight. Okay, so here's the selvage. I just want to see how long this is, and I'll double this. I'm going to fold it right along the selvage. So remind me, by the way, I can see you all chatting over there and I can see all your comments. So remind me to tell you about my cooking experience last night. Oh yes, I grilled some really good steaks and I screwed up just a little bit, but they were still edible. I'm learning. I told Wynn it's my mom's fault. She spoiled us so much that I never had to cook, so thankfully, he loves it. All right, so here's our fold. I think you can see most of that at least. Great. All right, so here's this pattern piece. Oh, it's way too long. And I hate wasting, so let's go to about right here. Always gets a little bit tricky when you're trying to be on a little camera. All right, so again, there's the selvage. This knit, by the way, does not pull a lot on the selvage. You've seen me sometimes where I have to cut the selvage off in order to be able to even cut my piece out. This one's not too bad. All right, we're getting closer. Goodness gracious. I do like this yellow, and I do like the yellow with the coral. It's really a pretty color. There, that's pretty good. And there's the selvage edge, which I'll end up cutting most of that off anyways. And let's just go ahead and cut this. I'm cutting this a little bit longer down here, just in case I measured wrong. I always like to be a little safer on this collar. And I'm not sure, I think I took my paper rotary cutter, so I'm sure I'm gonna have to, yes, of course I did. If you've ever run over a pin with your rotary cutter, this is what you end up with. Remind me to throw that puppy out, except I use it for paper, so I should put just a big old sticker right here that says paper, cut, use on paper. All right, so let me show you what we're gonna do with this. It was just a thought that I came up with just actually yesterday while I was kind of piecing some things together. So, oh, this is from yesterday's class. Our lace top. All right, so for this right here, I was thinking if we're gonna have a tank that's this color, and then maybe the collar has a little bit of this, I need to tie this in together, right? So what do you think of this? If I cut off this collar, I know I've already serged it, but it's with a really tiny seam allowance. So I'm just gonna tuck this under so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. If I treat this collar and this collar like one, so when it opens, it would end up looking kind of like this. What do you think? So, okay, the reason I was trying to think of this is, okay, I'm going to work on the tank top, but this sweater set, twin set, is so common, right? So I thought, well, how can we give it a little bling or something a little extra so it looks custom and looks like you want it? So I had a couple of ideas. I could add embroidery, some of my lace designs to the edges, very subtle, or add these two pieces. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to cut this panel off, treat it like one piece of fabric, even though it's two, have the raw edges on the outside. I don't even need to finish those, and then reattach those. So then when it opens, it'll just be a little pop of yellow. What do you think? Well, you like it? Okay, sounds good. Pat likes it. Okay, as long as just something different. So now the tank top is going to be this color with a little bit of yellow popping out, and I showed you that serging thread, which is over there. So I'm going to do the same thing. Oh, good, Marcy, you like it. Okay. Magali, what do you have to say? A question. I have stretching blue fabric, and I don't know how to work with. Do you change the sewing needles? Will you let me know, please? So, okay, first of all, it depends if you're sewing or using the serger. Yes, I do use different needles. I use for knits, I use a ballpoint or stretch needle. Usually size 11 is fine. And depending on the serger usually is fine, but they do have stretch needles for your serger as well. So if you have any problems with that. Now, if you're going to sew this on a sewing machine, you're going to have to use a zigzag stitch. So because a straight stitch on knits will not work because it will pop. All right, let me just check and see if you have any questions before I go to the tank. Oh, I'm so glad you guys like it. I thought it was fun too. Phyllis, do I cut out with the yellow peeking through? So this is how you're going to do it. Want me just to show you? All right, hold on. Let me go grab my big old scissors. I'll be right back. Okay, take the yellow off for now. I'm literally cutting this off. Like I'm going to treat it like two pieces of fabric. So let's just take this and, should I do it on the table? I think we should do it on the table. I'll meet you back over there. Okay, let's go back over here. I have, this is really bad. I have my paper scissors and my paper rotary cutter when I have these fabulous scissors right here that I can cut away with. So let me just get this out of the way. So here's your collar, right? I think you'll see it better if I do it right here. Now, because my seam allowance is so small on here, 3/8 of an inch. Let me grab my other rotary cutter. I'm not ripping all that serging out. No way. No way, Jose. I'm going to just trim this off. I can tell I'm getting close to that point, so I'm going to use my scissors here. Because look how small that is. That's not going to make any difference at all on my fit. Okay. By the way, Susan, I just saw the photo of all of your buttons. Did you say you're getting rid of those? I think I saw like a bunch of comments. You're going to have everybody wanting those buttons. This is a little, I'm going slower. Why? Because if I if the back of the fabric is folded at all, I'll accidentally cut too much, and I don't want to do that. If you're looking at this thread saying, why does this thread, I used variegated thread on here because I was just testing the color. I thought this would look great as the hem. So this has a little bit of dark pink, light pink. It ties in really nice. Don't you think so? So that's how I will hem the garment. Now, because this is going to be facing open, I want the right side. Let's see, the right side on top of the right side when I go to sew this back together. So remind me of that in case I forget. Okay. Are you guys sewing anything good this week, by the way? Besides the Rachel, of course. Boy, I saw some of your tops in the Facebook group, and they look absolutely amazing. So when we finish this little sew along, don't forget, whatever photos you post, we're going to have a little show and tell. Okay, so this is my top. And now this time I'm going to put the right side facing out. Let me make sure. Oh, that's what I had. Right side facing out, right side facing out. Now let me go get my little yellow piece because we're going to attach these. Okay. I'll just leave the selvage side out. It's finished. It kind of curls a little bit. It looks nice. I'm going to use that. So there's this, and let's see. It's a little tricky in here to find the right side. That's the right side. Okay, so let me find the center back. All right here. And then here is about the center back. Nope. I'm just holding this up in half. Because remember, this pattern does have a center back seam, but I'm not using that. Okay, and the center back is about right here. This is why I'm not a very good cook, because everything is kind of just approximate. You kind of eyeball it, but it still works. So I'm just going to pin this in place so you can see what it's going to look like. I'll put the pins going sideways just so when I put this on the dress form, you can actually see what it's going to look like. Now for the center back here, this is the back neckline. I'm going to stretch the collar just a little bit to attach to the neckline. That will prevent it from stretching out when you put it on. I think we talked about that earlier when I sewed this, and I'm going to stretch a little bit on the side of the back collar too. So I've stretched to the center back. So the collar's a little bit smaller than the center back. And then now starting at this is the shoulder seam going down, everything will be 1-to-1. So you're not stretching anything. Don't use any twill tape. Don't use any clear elastic, nothing like that. You do not want to stabilize that center front seam because we're just going to be serging this. You can see how messy that cutter was. My goodness gracious. So by the way, these both look the same. This one I use for paper. This one I use for fabric. That's why I always get so confused. I need to label them. Okay, here's that point. Remember the point that we had? Now it's not as quite of a point because I cut off that extra part, but it'll be easy to serge over, so. I'll line this up a little bit here. Oh, good. We have plenty of room. If you have a hard time keeping these two layers together, you could run these through the sewing machine and just baste them together first. Okay, that's one side. It's a long collar, isn't it? I'm going to pin the whole thing in place so we can put it back on the dress form just so you can see what it's going to look like. Now we're back at the shoulder seam on this side, so no stretching on any parts. If you were using a sweater knit or something really loose, you might want to put clear elastic on the center back seam. But if you're just using a knit, you'll be fine. I'm coming over here. It's easier to reach. All right. I've got too many. Speaking of buttons, Susan, I've got a lot in there. Jean buttons. So as you can see, the orange, or I should say coral, is a little bit shorter in width than the yellow. Why? Because we sewed it on and then I cut some of that off. So I wanted the yellow to peek out a little bit. So the yellow is actually a little wider than the coral. Oh, I can see your comments. Yes, I still have one bolt of yellow and I only have maybe a half a bolt of this left. When it's gone, I'm not ordering more of it because I'll go to a different color. I think you guys asked for aqua and purple, I believe was the special request for the next ones. Okay. I think that takes longer than sewing the whole top together. My goodness. Let's go back to the dress form and see what we have. Ready? Oh, I think I'm going to like this. So they're both attached in the seam the same. And then you just take this and it'll just fold open. Oh, I'm loving that. Now, the only thing I wish I would have done, which I guess I could still do, is I kind of wish I would have put some of that yellow. I'll show you over there, but I have some of that yellow serging, woolly poly. I wish I would have done that in the seams up here. I think that would have looked, given it just a little bit more of a sporty look. Very couture-ish looking. If I would have do that, you know what? I think I still can. Because I took this collar off, I can still do the double cover stitch here, and I could even go around the armholes. And then do it for the hem. And then the rest of this, I think I'm just going to either leave. I don't know. What do you think? I'll take you over there and show you the yellow that I have. It's a little bit bright, but I think it'll work great. So let me see if you have any questions. Hey, Karen, so the yellow is going on the long grain, or the not crosswise grain line, the long, but it won't matter for this because it's the collar. So the collar doesn't really stretch going either way. It just hangs. If it was a piece of the garment that had to stretch to get on, then I would have a problem. Phyllis, I'm thinking of doing a color block tank. Doing either this color for the tank and having dual neckline. So having a little bit of this and this coming out of the top, I think that would be very cool. So not too much. I don't want it to look, well, I love contrasting colors. I'm also thinking color blocking. I think so. Oh, bye, Arnell. Great to see you. Ooh, that would be good, Janice. The wave stitch would look fantastic on the edge. That's kind of what that other thread had, the variegated, but there wasn't any yellow in it. Oh, thanks, Jan. I do too. Everyone say doing the cover in yellow. So I think so too. So what do you think? The yellow tank or the coral? I mean, I have plenty of fabric. I can make one out of each. That's the best part of these little sweater sets is you can make a few different tank tops, and I just usually wear these as a little wrap to go over dinner. All right, Joanna, question. Is the coral and yellow going to limit what you can wear with it versus being a single color? Well, I don't know. Probably a little bit. I mean, probably a little bit. I guess it really just depends. It would still look great with jeans though, I think. Connie, no raw edges. I'll finish the raw edges. I'll probably either do the wave stitch as Janice mentioned, or I'll do a narrow overlock. I don't think I'll do a rolled hem because on knits it just doesn't look that well. And those of you that were in my Serging 102 class, I showed some of the specialty stitches, and you know that the narrow overlock on knits kind of looks better. Color blocking would be pretty. Ooh, how about a yellow stripe down the center of the tank? That's a good idea. All right, so you all have a lot of good ideas. Oh, Marion, you didn't think it was going to look so good, but it does, doesn't it? Just different. Okay, so let's go back to the tank, and let's go ahead and cut. I'm cutting just one tank today. Color blocking is going to be later. So first, let's just cut the tank with the two collars. Oh, I think it would look awesome with white pants. Any kind of jeans would look good. Jeannie, I just saw that. Could you embroider on the collar in the yellow? In yellow. Oh, yeah, that would look fantastic. That would really look good. I think so too, Darlene. I'm going to make two tanks. I might have, well, by the time you all get here for the pants class in a couple weeks, I might be wearing this every day with different tank tops every day. You just never know. Colleen, I'm trying the wave stitch, but it keeps skipping stitches on the garment. Work done. Any ideas? So Colleen, the first thing I would do is make sure you have new needles. That's usually the first issue when you have skip stitches. So just make sure you have a new needle. And if you're using knits, see if you can find a stretch needle for your serger. Now, if you're using that serger, it has a specific length that you need. So you can't just use regular sewing machine needles on that. Marion, no, brother does not have a wave stitch, only baby lock as far as I know. Oh, Karen, you can steal the idea. I don't think it's called stealing, it's called sharing. So how do you do the wave stitch? Okay, so Susan's right. So it comes on a few of the baby lock machines, but you can tighten and loosen. It's like basically where your loopers are tightening and loosening and tightening and loosening. I've watched people do it themselves by counting. I wouldn't have nearly the patience to do that, but you could. All right, anything else? What type of backing would you use? Oh, Jeannie, for embroidering on this knit, I would probably use a sticky back, water soluble. That way I can just lay the collar float the collar on the hoop and get it right to the edge and then do my embroidery and then it will wash away. So both sides will still look good. And I would use the same color in the bobbin as I would on the top. Oh, hey, friend, we would love you in the pants class. All right, so let's go look at the tank, all right? Let's take a look. I always go to the wrong one. Here we go. To the tank. We talked about doing like a color blocking where you had the tank on the bottom and two different colors, but I thought this might be a little bit more fun. All right, so let's take this down. I've got a very large piece of fabric here, but before I cut my tank, we have to do a couple of alterations to it. All right, so first of all, let me get my big Sharpie. All right, so for the back piece, I really don't need to do any changes. I cut this out in a medium because I just wanted to show you how to make some changes if you want to take it in. Let's just say that when you look at all your measurements, so this one is the medium back. First thing you need to do is measure from your back neck to your hem to decide how long you want your hem. It's very easy to lengthen that if you want to do that. And then for the front piece, we talked about this 3 lessons ago. So if you need to go back and check that about how to mark your measurements and how if you just wanted to mark on the outside of your pattern. The tricky part of that is you need this seam to match up with this seam. And sometimes if you just start drawing things in, it's not going to match. So you might end up with this seam longer, or you can't quite figure out how to get those together. So a better way is I'm going to go ahead and just cut this out. This is also where we showed how to raise the neckline on here, in case you were wondering about that. Okay, I'm cutting the whole medium, so ignore those other lines on there. Now after I cut this, I actually usually will wear a small, but I want to take this in a little bit. I want the tank not to be too tight, and I might take it in a little bit through the waist area. Now for the bust area, I might need to add a full bust adjustment. So, well, I won't say might. I do need to add a full bust adjustment. So let me show you how to do that real quick. That's the center front of my pattern. And then looking at the rest of these measurements, I don't need to add anything. So let me just measure. Judging how long I want my tank, I like my tanks really long because I like to kind of ruche them up a little bit. So on this piece here from the back, 28 inches is just about, wow, almost 3 inches longer. Maybe I don't need it quite that long. I'll just add 2 inches to the length. And for this, I don't need to do it at the waist or anything. I'm just going to do it right from the bottom. So I need 2 inches added to the bottom of, now you can mark it however you want to. Maybe you need yours shorter, longer, I don't know. Here's the paper one, hopefully. And I need to add 2 inches to the back. Actually, I only have 1 inch left on this paper. So I'm going to mark it 1 inch and then put plus 1 inch. That way. Just an easy way for me to remember. So, and remember, our seam allowances are added in there. So if you really wanted it to be exactly 2 inches longer, you would also need to add a seam allowance. There you go. There's that. All right, and so now the full bust adjustment. Let's go ahead and do that. Draw myself a line. Come on up to here. And I also need a little line to here, just so I can have a guide. So basically for the full bust adjustment, this is going to curve out. So I'm slashing all the way up to the armhole, but not through. See what happens here? Let me just lay this sideways so you can see the whole thing. This opens like this. Now, when you do that, we've had conversations about this in the past. Let me just line that up so it's straight so you can see that. All right, so when I open this up, what happens? You end up with all this extra room. I only want extra room right here. So then after I do that, I'm going to just cut right up right here to the bust. Now, there are so many ways to do this. So if you have a different way, you do whatever way you feel comfortable for. But I open this up, and you can see originally my bust line's right here. Now, when I open this, it comes out to here. That's about where my bust area is. And now I can slide this back in where this meets at the bottom. And I gave myself all this extra room. Now you can see the bust comes out and around. And because I stayed on the medium line, ignore that black Sharpie, that's from lesson 1. I know that the length from here, even though the curve is different, will still match this section here. Make sense? And then down here, you just need to make sure that's a nice straight line when you tape that back together. All right, so I'm going to end up cutting my tank top out. Here is the thread I was mentioning that if I do this with the coral, so when I cut my collar, I'm just going to do a little piece here. I don't think you need to watch the whole thing. I'll do this, and this will be your job before next week. I'm going to cut my collar a little bit wider than the pattern says for that color. Well, it depends. If I do a coral tank, then I'll have this a little bit shorter. So if I cut this, I have a piece right here. Now I'm not cutting these, so you just have to use your imagination here. I'm going to have one collar that's a little thicker than the other. So once it's sewn into the top, it'll look like this. If I cut this right here, I would have 2 pieces of binding, or basically, for your neckline. This could also be for the sleeve edge, for the armhole for the tank. And then if I'm using this as the whole tank top, then I can use this thread with a double cover stitch. And I think that is going to tie in just nicely. All right, let me come over and see if you have any questions. Okay. I do too. I like that 2 color. Do you have any questions on how to put that together? Oh, thanks, Peggy. So I'm thinking with that tank, and that's the Rachel. It does come in 0 to 5X. I extended the sale too, by the way, until the end of March. I think it's capital letters March 15th. March 15th, not 15th. I'll bring up the website. You just go there, angelawolf.com, and click on shop. If you want to watch any of these replays, you can click on, if you go to the blog, that's where you get the replays for the tutorials. And then also if you click on classes, it will tell you the whole list of live shows coming up, along with you can watch all of the replays. Yeah, Marianne, the thread is kind of a neon yellow, but once you put that against the coral, it will actually blend in. So where it will pop a little bit more. So I think you'll be surprised at what it looks like. It's definitely brighter yellow than the fabric, but because it's going to be a thin thread, it's going to look a little bit more muted. You like the thread idea, Linda? Oh, thanks, Susan. And Karen, that's exactly where you go. Either Angela Wolf Patterns or angelawolf.com. Okay, Joan, on the collar, is the seam allowance supposed to end up on the inside or outside of the jacket? I would go on the inside. You can go either way though. I mean, but I would go on the inside because that way, now, that being said, there's one section here that I skipped, remember? So right here on my tank or on my jacket, there's a center back collar here usually. And that would be on the right side of the garment. So that's one difference there that I see. All right, any more questions? Hey there. Now, when I go to cut that tank top out, I will try it on my dress form. I will just baste together the side seams and the shoulder seams. And I think what I'm going to do is just tape it in then to my body shape. And if you don't have a dress form, you can just do it on yourself. It's easy to do. Thanks, Susan. Thanks, Marcy. That's it. Definitely. Would you reverse the order if you were making the coral tank? You know, I think what I would do is cut both pieces and pin them in place just to see how they look. I'm thinking either would look good. It would look good with coral and then a peep of yellow and a peep of coral, or coral, coral, and a peep of yellow. Either one would look great. Oh, thanks, Marion. Speaking of Fashion Sewing Club, we had a little issue with our cameras yesterday. Well, and I even see today the internet speed. The speeds here is fine, but I don't know what's going on with Facebook. So do you want to see the back of my lace top real quick? Since we actually have a signal, I'll go take you over there. You got to see this. Fashion Sewing Club members, I know you're going to love this. Here you go. There's that. And I'm on the last steps of this top that we've been working on for the last few weeks. So this is not the Rachel. This is something different. But we pattern hacked the Delilah. And it has turned out, even Wynn came in yesterday and he's like, wow, that's really cute. Not that he doesn't always think my tops are cute, but he really liked this one. At first, I thought I was going to use these for pajamas, but it's kind of too nice. So this is kind of a sweater knit fabric. There's my lace sleeves. They're all finished. I've got the scalloped edges at the bottom. The neckline, just did binding. I've pressed up my entire seam in the front. And then for the back, I have my last two steps. I need to run this through the cover stitch because I have this pressed up. And then my last step is here's all my lace. And I had taken off my scalloped edge so I could mold it to my fabric. So I need to take this, either stitch it by hand or go to the sewing machine and do free motion right along all of this. Because this is, let's see, how about this one? This is not attached to the bottom. So now I need to go back, make sure that this lays nice and flat. I'll pin this in place, reattach it. I have it a little bit lower in the center back. I could even put a little dab of, fabric glue to hold this in place if I want. Go ahead and free motion. If you're going to stitch by hand, just do a little slip stitch. And if you're going to sew with the machine, I can use free motion or I could use a zigzag stitch just to attach this and then sew these on. And that's my last step, and my top is finished. And I think the point, after pressing, it turned out great. I love those two colors. And you know what's interesting is the sweater is more of a blue-gray, and the lace is more of a gray-gray. And I think it looks fantastic together. I really like that. All right, any last-minute questions for me before we roll? Oh, hey, Karina. I think I just saw you ask a question. Where did you go? Welcome to the party, Angie. Oh, Karen, you're wearing the tank right now. Awesome. Karina, you're always so wise. Do I have the brother labeler? I sure do. I have the P-Touch. I should totally label it. Paper, rotary cutter, and fabric. And then I will always know. All right, so Louise, so then you would have wrong sides of the collar to the right side of the jacket. Okay, let's go back over here just so you got this clear. Can't trip off my seat here. So this is the right side, and this is the wrong side. And this is the wrong side, because when this flips open, I've got right side, right side, right side. So when you're layering this to serge, and you know, it doesn't matter if, I mean, to answer the first question of which side should you have the seam on the outside, it doesn't matter because this is going to cover it up. So if you're going to wear this open all the time, but this is still in enough that you're not going to see that seam. So it's whichever way you want to go. I would probably put the serged edge on the inside. So when I layer this as 3 layers to sew, this is the right side, this is the right side, and this is the right side. And then when you wear it, this kind of cups, see how it kind of cups over your neck and cups over the front. So it'll cover up your serge seam. If that makes sense. Does that make sense, Louise? Make sure I got that right. All right, so let me see what other comments you have. Hi, Ella. Did you see the back enough, Helen, or do you need more? Just curious. Yeah, so thank you for mentioning that, Susan. This particular fabric, it's a rayon knit. Both sides look great. In fact, it's very difficult to tell which side is the wrong side. So either way I go, I'm fine. I do like that color, though. Mm-hmm. Oh, thanks, Paula. Did I miss anybody? Oh, wait, there's more. Sorry. Oh, thanks, Tony. I love that gray sweater. Yeah, I posted a photo of me wearing that without the hem in the Fashion Sewing Club Facebook group yesterday, in case you missed that. Hey, Lynn, there are a few different P-Touch. I even have the one that has ribbon. I could even just tie it on the end. Karina, thank you for reminding me. Although I'm going to have to go check because it's fishing season and wind has been floating around in my she shed here lately. And I have a feeling that's usually when all my P-Touch machines disappear because he uses them to label his fishing tackle, the boxes, the wiring, you name it. I might have to go get another one. I have a feeling that's where I'll have to, or go to the boat and grab it, right? All right, Angie, what do you have? I'm tacking my collar at the back, neck, and shoulder since I sewed the collar right side up to the right side of the cardigan. Oh, that's fine. That'll look good. I can't wait to see a photo of it. Yeah, Marcy, sweater knit. That's what I was trying to say, sweater knit. Oh, I don't know, Helen. I might, but we're almost finished, so I'll make sure that if I do, they go, oh, you're right. Yes, I do. Thank you. Out of there. What would I do without you girls? Susan, yes for the gray top. Thanks, Kim. All right, so before next week, I'm going to cut up my tank top and I'm going to do just the solid color with the 2 necklines and the 2 shoulder lines. I mean, the ribbing, 2 layers of each. I'm not sure which color. You'll just have to watch for photos on my Facebook and I'll share. And then I'm going to test that cover stitch. And I'm definitely going to look, Marion, because what you said is very true. That thread, I don't know if you can see it from here still. No, not really. The thread is actually a very neon yellow, but I have a feeling that once that's embedded into that coral, it's going to blend in beautifully. So if it's too soft, it's going to disappear. And it's kind of like, what is that on your shoulder? You know? I don't know. Well, I have to test it. I always have to test everything on a sample anyways, just to check, to see if I like it. Definitely. Put the P-touch under your sewing scissors. Now, Amy, you know what happened to my sewing scissors a couple years ago? Wynn used them to cut all the wiring on the boat. Yeah. I agree. Joanna, come to one of the classes. Wynn's taking the guys fishing for both classes, so that would be fun. Are you going to show us how to sew the collar onto the tank? So when you have those 2 layers, which I'll bring a sample next time that you can just see part of it, but basically you're going to have two collars. One's going to be a little bit thicker than the other. So once you fold it over and then fold it over, one's going to be just a little bit thicker than the other. I would put those together and baste them together and then attach them to your shirt. So it's attaching the collar just like a normal collar. Oh, good, Esther. I love the top that you showed. Actually, I should share that because it was so cute. Marcy, yes, the other top was the Delilah. All right, so let me just bring this up real quick because this was really cute. A couple of you really, I just saw you, Donna. I have a safe. I'm in a bank, for heaven's sakes. I got a huge safe in the back, 2 of them. I should start putting the P-touch in there. What a great idea. That was kind of funny, though. All right, so here, let me just share this. Here you go. This is Marianne. I love this tank top. I love the color. Look at how beautiful she did on the neckline. Very, very, very cute. Great job. She actually had a few of these, so let me bring up a couple more. Just to give you a little inspo. Okay, hold on. Marianne also did the shirt that I just showed you. Here's a version without lace. I like this. I love the fabric on the sleeves. Super cute. Okay, and there's a few more. Let me just look on here. All right, so here's the lace one on. Didn't that turn out cute? I seriously made this thinking I was going to use it for pajamas, but it's really stinking cute. It's super soft. It could be pajamas, but I think it looks great with jeans. Okay, and I think there was, where was that? Oh, look at this one. Oh, Marianne, boy, you have been busy. Look at this. This was one that I love. Look at how she did the collar. Contrasting fabric, or she used the selvage. I didn't even look to see what you did, but I love what you did with that contrast. Super cute. So it looks like, Marianne, I don't know if you're on here today, but it looks like the outside and the inside of this collar is 2 layers of fabric. You can see she did the beautiful lettuce edge on here. Very, very cute. Very cute. Okay, and this is actually the top that we copied. So this is in the Fashion Sewing Club, but I might as well share since you're wondering what. Now this was a little bit different. They used lace all along the neckline. They actually have lace all the way through. This is a little bit different than the one that we did. These were all about inserts. A lot of fun. We do different projects in there every month or 2. Depends how long these take. All right, so let me just see if I can find, here's the Rachel tank top. Now here is a variation that Marianne did, and she has the collar, this sewn in. This is where 2 colors would be very cute. And I can't tell if she's hemmed this yet, but it almost looks like a lettuce edge on the tank top, which would be a great combination with the jacket. The lettuce edge is where you actually run it through the serger using a narrow rolled hem, and you change the differential feed, and it literally stretches your fabric just a little bit as it goes through, which gives it that lettuce edge. I call it. It looks like a wave, but there is a wave stitch, which is totally separate. So don't get those confused. And I think that was it for this week. I know there was one more though. Where did it go? Will you share? Here it is, Esther. I have to share this because this was really cute. There's the back. She did the same thing with the pattern hack. So there's no seam there. She's showing that she took the seams out. Love your socks, by the way, Esther. Very cute. So sleek. I love it with the no seams in the back too. And this is how it drapes. Beautiful, beautiful color. I love how you did that. I think there was actually not, I don't think this was the Rachel, but I think I saw Amy posted a couple things here. Yeah, this was really cute. So Amy, great to see you. She might be at work today, so she might not be on here, but she took the Bella and did some pattern hacks. So there's the Bella neckline. Isn't this cute? So I think she said she made the dress using the Bella pattern. She hacked it. And then she made the blazer with the Evelyn and created front ruffles. So that's the Evelyn jacket and the ruffles. That looks so expensive, Amy. I absolutely love it. Great lining. And you can see what she did here with her. Oh, look at that. So what a creative way to make a dress out of the Bella. Instead of just extending the length, she cut it at the waist and dropped it like that. Nice. Very nice. All right, so be sure to share the photos of your Rachel, by the way, or anything else that you're working on in the Angela Patterns group. The Angela Patterns group is free. The Fashion Sewing Club is not free. It's a minimal fee, but you end up, if you shop, you'll end up way paying for your membership for what you save. Chicken. Don't be chicken, Jan. Just test it on knit fabric. I agree. Super cute. Okay, any other questions? Or I'm going to let you go. Tomorrow, I will be on Brother Sew's Facebook and YouTube page at noon. And then off for the little holiday weekend. Just saw what you said. Let's see. Oh, thanks, Helen. Amy is definitely the pattern hack queen. Oh, thanks, Kim. I agree, Esther. Amy did a great job, but so did you. I love your top. All right, so if you need me, you can always message me. Otherwise, have a wonderful day. Let's see. Did you use the woolly poly in the needles? Oh, Pam, no. I use the woolly poly only in the loopers. And then if I do the cover stitch, I will use it in the lower looper. And then I actually have the double cover stitch, so I'll use it in the looper for the cover stitch and the upper looper. It's not really a looper. It's the upper thread for the double cover stitch. If you only have a cover stitch, you'll just use it in a looper. And if you're using it on the serger, you'll use it on the upper and the lower looper. I think that's what you meant, Susan Ulster. Oh, happy Easter, Jan. Paula, great to see you all. Marcy, any other questions before I let you run? This has been super fun to see you today. Have a great rest of the week, everyone. And again, I always try to go back and answer questions and comments. So if you need anything, you can always just holler. All right. Later.